Welcome to the Elevated Woman's Podcast, your guide to optimal health and confidence. I'm Dr. Ade Akindipe, family nurse practitioner and women's health coach. I help women in midlife reset their bodies and reclaim their confidence. So this is the place where real talk meets real solutions. No quick fixes, no fluff, just the tools, strategies, and stories you need to break free from stubborn weight gain, balancing your hormones, and stepping into your healthiest self yet. Whether you're navigating perimenopause, menopause, or simply just tired of feeling like your body's working against you, then you're in the right place. Let's get into it.
Okay, I want to start with the sentence I hear all the time in clinic. I've lost the same 20 pounds 5 times. If that sentence landed in your body, if you felt it in your chest or stomach, this conversation is for you. So you do the diet. You white knuckle your way through the plan. The scale finally moves and people notice, and then life happens. The weight comes back. Sometimes it brings friends and you start over again and again and again. So today we're talking about the hidden metabolic cost of yo-yo dieting, what repeated weight loss and regain does to your body composition, your brown fat, your insulin, your gut, and your long-term health. And even more importantly, how to break out of that cycle for good. We're going to look at the research, what that shows in women, and I'll share a story of a cycler patient. And then I'll give you a coaching framework to move from crash and regain to sustainable metabolic healing. So take a breath. This episode is definitely not about shame, but it's about understanding and about giving you a new path forward. Okay, so let's start with the definition because I want you to recognize this pattern clearly. When we talk about yo-yo dieting or weight cycling, we're not just talking, a 2-pound fluctuation after a salty meal or after you go on a vacation or something like that. We're talking about repeated patterns of losing a significant amount of weight, 10, 20 or more, regaining that weight, often a little bit more on top of the weight lost, and then doing it over and over across years. Many studies define weight cycling as 3 or more episodes of intentional weight loss followed by unintentional regain of about at least 10 pounds. If you've ever said, I've lost and regained the same 20 to 30 pounds multiple times, you are exactly what the research is talking about. And I want to say this clearly. You are not yo-yo dieting because you are weak or broken. You are using the tools that diet culture handed you. These extreme all or nothing plans, quick fixes, enormous pressure on social media. So these tools don't just fail you mentally, they also have a real metabolic consequence in your body, especially for midlife women. So what are those consequences? Let's look at what we've learned. Over the last decade, a series of studies from research groups in places like Europe and other large cohort studies have looked specifically at women who weight cycle. When they compare women who have cycled with women of similar age and similar BMI who haven't cycled, a few patterns show up over and over again. More body fat, especially around the middle. Women who weight cycle, tend to have higher total body fat and more visceral fat, that deep-seated fat around the organs, compared to women whose weight has been relatively stable, even if their BMI is similar. So in plain language, after multiple cycles, you can end up at the same weight on the scale, but with more fat and less muscle than before. Number 2, you can have worse cardiometabolic panel markers. So women who have weight cycled often show higher triglycerides, higher LDL, lower HDL, higher fasting insulin, and higher blood pressure. Number 3, changes in brown fat and energy burn. So some of the newer research has looked at brown fat. Brown fat is metabolically active tissue that helps you burn energy and stay metabolically flexible, if you will. So what they're finding is that women who weight cycle have lower brown fat activity And that seems to be driven in part by increased body fat and repeated restrictive episodes. So that can translate into a lower baseline energy burn and a body that is more defensive about letting go of weight. Also, higher long-term risks. So long-term studies linked weight cycling with increased cardiovascular risk and mortality, especially in women. In other words, it's not just about weight regain, it's about the way those cycles reshape your metabolic landscape over time. There's also fascinating research to show that repeated crash dieting can alter the gut microbiome, so the bacteria in your gut, in ways that promote weight regain and inflammation. So the body becomes more efficient at regaining weight and more inflamed in the process. So here's what I want to see. Some newer data are also looking at people in long-term lifestyle trials, which suggests that even when weight is partially regained, repeated efforts at improving diet quality and physical activity can still leave some positive metabolic imprints, like slightly better lipids or improved insulin sensitivity compared to where they started. So the problem is not that you've tried to care for your health. The problem is the pattern of extreme restrictions and regain. So we want to keep the caring, lose the extremes, and heal the metabolism. So I want to talk to you about someone. I like to do these case studies because it really kind of brings things to life, okay? I have a patient in her late 40s, professional, she's a mom. And by the time she had come to see me, she had gained about and lost about 25 to 30 pounds, probably about 4 or 5 times. And this is what her pattern looked like. She had hit the breaking point. She started a very strict plan, barely eating, working out twice a day, cutting entire food groups. And in 3 to 4 months, she lost the weight, 20, 25 pounds. And people would compliment her. She'd feel proud, but then life will get busy, family holidays will come around and she'll fall off because no human can really sustain that forever, right? So the weight will slowly creep back in, plus a few extra pounds. The shame will come back and then she'll spiral and she'll start over with the same extreme plan. And by the time she sat across from me, she was done. She's like, you know what? I don't know what else to do. So of course, look at her labs and some of those things we talked about in some of those research studies we read: fasting blood sugar, prediabetes, high cholesterol, blood pressure was creeping up, waist circumference, higher visceral fat. This is a protective thing that your body does. It has learned over and over, famine is coming. I'm going to starve. So your body is adapting to hold on to fat, to store fat, to lower your energy burn, and to crank up hunger when you restrict it. So it makes you even more hungry. So instead of putting her on another diet, we changed the goal. No more losing 25 pounds as fast as possible. Our goal is to improve her metabolic markers. Get her body to realize she's not running away from a bear anymore. Restore her energy. Restore sleep. And that's why sometimes I say when you're metabolically healthy, weight loss is a side effect. When your nervous system is regulated, your body feels safe to let go of fat. Second, we stopped the extremes. We start to focus on nourishing her body. No more 1,000 calories restriction or 2 times a day workouts. We create a sustainable calorie deficit, putting in more protein, plenty of fiber, strength training, healing the gut with intermittent fasting episodes. But when she does eat, she's nourishing her body. And then we worked with her relationship with food. No more, this is forbidden from my diet. Low fat, low this, no starting over on Monday, no success or failure language. Just data, patterns, and self-compassion. And over the next 6 months, did she drop 25 pounds? No, she did not. It comes with reframing the mind around what is considered healthy weight loss. She lost about 10 to 12 pounds, but here's what changed. Her metabolic panel, fasting glucose, triglycerides, HDL, her waist started to shrink. She felt calmer around food. And for the first time, she said, I don't feel like I'm on a diet. I feel like I'm living a life I can keep. And that's the point. We worked with her metabolism instead of against it. So that's what breaking the cycle looks like. So let's summarize what those yo-yo cycles actually look like, what they do inside the body. Okay, with each round of extreme dieting and regain, the research suggests you tend to lose muscle and fat when you crash diet, but you tend to regain mostly fat. Yes, especially visceral fat when the diet ends. Over multiple cycles, your body composition shifts towards more fat and less muscle at the same weight. Your body becomes more insulin resistant, making it hard to keep blood sugar stable and easier to store fat around the midsection. Your lipid profile often worsens, so higher triglycerides, lower HDL, more atherogenic patterns, so things that are going to cause plaque to build up in your arteries and increase your risk for heart disease. Your brown fat activity may decline, lowering your baseline energy expenditure and making it easier to regain weight. Your gut microbiome, so your gut bacteria can shift in ways that favor more inflammation and quick weight regain after restriction. So the more you ride that roller coaster, the scarier the ride becomes. And this is not to judge you, okay? This is your body doing the best to survive because it feels like it's starving. So it's going to want to protect you from that by holding on to fat. The good news though is once we understand this, we can design a different ride. So now let's move into this coaching part. If you think this is my story, just like I've described, I want you to think instead of how can I lose 20 pounds, say how can I create a way of eating, moving, and living in the body that I can trust for the next 10 years. Your body needs to trust that famine is not coming again. That means no more extreme on and off switches. Then the other thing you should do is choose 3 to 5 metabolic markers and outcomes to focus on. So when you look at your labs and your body composition and your symptoms, what are 3 to 5 markers you should focus on that are not necessarily related to the scale? Is it your fasting glucose, your A1C, your triglycerides, your blood pressure, your energy, your sleep, your mood, visceral fat? Every choice you make, the way you eat, the way you move, you sleep, you manage stress, should be in service of those markers, not in service of the fastest possible drop on the scale. Number 3, protect and rebuild muscle. Muscle should now become your new obsession. I want you to focus on strength training 2-3 times if possible per week. Body movements, squats, hinges, pushes, pulls. There's ways you can modify them. And then focusing on protein. Most midlife women need more than they're eating. Most of the time they're not. So think 20, 30 grams of protein in meals. Muscle is what raises your metabolic rate, improves insulin sensitivity, and helps reverse that body composition, especially from damage from past diets. Step number 4. Okay, this is the hardest step mentally. Decide that you are done with 1,000-calorie plan, detoxes and teas, no carb ever rules, any program that makes you feel panicked about a holiday or a weekend, it's not a good program for you. Aim for moderate, sustainable calorie deficit that still allows you to sleep, think, and function. Balance meals with proteins, healthy fats, fiber-rich carbs, and colorful foods. Allow room for joy in foods that are planned, not binging in secret, right? If a plan makes you dread social events or live in fear of falling off, then it's not sustainable. You can't keep that up. Step number 5, heal your relationship with food in your body. If you're having this all or nothing thoughts, I blew it, or so I might as well keep going, replace that with, that was one choice. I can make a different one at the next opportunity. Practice speaking to your body the way you would speak to your daughter or a dear friend. Your nervous system and your metabolism are listening. So when you live in a chronic state of shame and stress, your body stays in this threat mode, and that threat mode is not a metabolically friendly place to live at all. And again, number 6 is You don't have to do this alone. Working with someone like myself, who is a health coach, who understands midlife women's hormones, and the psychology of the dieting culture can help you see your blind spots, choose the smart labs, and stay consistent without extremes. Breaking this cycle is less about trying to do it your way or not, or it's not, and more about a sustainable, safe way. And sometimes it takes a village to do that. So I invite you to book a personalized wellness assessment. That's the gateway into starting to work with us. It's specifically designed for women just like you who are done with crash diets and who want a science-based, research-backed, compassionate roadmap to healing their metabolism and finally feeling better. We look at your full weight history, your past dieting, your weight cycling, your labs, your symptoms. And then we build a plan to protect your muscle, stabilize your blood sugar, and gently, consistently move you towards metabolic health. And weight loss becomes a side effect of that. So I invite you to go ahead and book your assessment. The link is in the show notes. And if this episode resonates with you, follow and subscribe and share it with another woman who needs this today. You can do this. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. Stay elevated.
Thank you for tuning in to the Elevated Women's Podcast. If today's episode resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend who needs this conversation too. And if you're ready to stop guessing and start thriving, head over to our website. It's listed in the show notes to learn more about our Elevated Women's coaching program. That's where we take these conversations deeper and create a more personalized plan for your hormones, your weight, energy, and more. Check out our show notes. I've linked free tools and cheat sheets to help you get started right away. For more daily tips and inspiration, come hang out with me on Instagram at The Elevated Woman Coach. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Thriving Over 40 with Dr. Akindipe. Until next time, stay elevated.